this. Look at that shit, bro. I was wrong about Trump. This guy, isn't that wild? Dude, these guys are turning tail. Now, granted, it's understandable. TYT it's in the shitter, bro. It is. Their channel is dead. They've had issues with breaking unions, being anti-trans. Kasparian is fucking off her rocker, bro. She has jumped the shark so far. They are literally spending all of their time in right-wing spaces now. She's been making the rounds of all the right-wing spaces. Dude, they're so gross. But so the thing that's crazy about this is for a long time, their whole thing has been to fight the Democratic Party instead of fighting their opponents. See, now, of course, dude, you know, having a homeless guy like show you his is that traumatizing? Absolutely. It is, right? I'm not going to fucking eat her lunch for that. That is absolutely sexual abuse. And it's very traumatic to go through that. Now, here's the situation, though. She said, oh, it was the left's response. Okay, that's what's so weird about it, though. Because, really? It's the left's response? Because if the left was responding to her in a certain way, you have to look into that. Like, for example, let's take an example. All right, remember a while back we talked about Logan Paul's little buddy? Remember? Mike Mashlak, who talked about how he can't walk anywhere without stepping in human shit. And so he's mad at the government. He's mad at the mayor, and he's mad at Governor Newsom because he steps in human shit in his brand new fucking Nikes. But here's the thing. Why are you mad at the governor? If you're stepping in human shit, obviously some human beings in your neighborhood are having a really rough time. And so maybe instead of blaming that on the governor, we could look at capitalism and the wealth gap, and we could look at the world we live in where guys who are walking around in $185,000 BMWs wearing $500 sneakers, when they step in human shit, they're more worried about their shoe than they are the human that shit, right? Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe if you weren't concerned about your sneakers and started worrying about the humans that have to shit on the sidewalk personally, where you got personally invested in becoming part of the solution to that instead of expecting Governor Newsom to figure it all out. Like, yeah, it's his job, but like, you're a citizen. We can all get involved, right? Hating your elected officials. Like, if homeless people start committing more crimes in my area, I'm not going to just blame the mayor of the city. No matter who the mayor is, it's a big job. The mayor can't fix all the problems. The governor can't fix all the problems. The president can't fix all the problems. All we can do is we can be humane, and we can try to do things that aren't demonizing people. That's really what we got to do.
This faction is, but they're loud enough to push me away completely. And so it wasn't that had happened to me. It was the reaction of the left and how they were far more concerned with me talking about it because they felt that was stigmatizing the homeless community. I have never gone out of my way to say negative things about homeless people. I mean, people who are living out on the streets are, in a lot of cases, victims who need help, right?
Yes.
But I was victimized by a guy that was strung out on something, could have been meth, you know, he was jerking around as he was walking toward me with his buddy. And
gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But it took a while for me to
see this story. Just like, if I was watching this as a movie, I would be like, this is not good writing. Right? I was victimized. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. But I was victimized. I talked about it. Some people got mad at me for talking about it. So now I'm abandoning all my political beliefs and I'm going to go side with the people who elected her. Like, are you shitting me? I mean, how is she going to now have MAGA sympathies and be thinking the rapist in office is like not that bad? Gotta hand it to him after she got sexually abused by homeless because some leftist online sent her some nasty messages. Like, really? Are we talking about your close friends did this? Dude, this is like the worst television writing I've ever seen. And I don't mean to belittle her because obviously she was traumatized, but like, go get some EMDR. Go do some therapy. Do some psilocybin therapy or MDMA or something. Like, work it out. But like a bunch of leftists sent you nasty messages, and so now your entire political ideology changes and you're okay with a racist president? I mean, that in and of itself doesn't sell, right? Terrible fucking TV writing. I'm sorry, but the writer's room that came up with this scenario, dude, they're fired.
Get over that, because I still have to walk my dog. And so multiple times a day, I literally have to think about that incident.
That's why you go to therapy, Anna. That's why you go to therapy. You get a therapist, Anna. We can start a GoFundMe. We can get you a really good therapist. Dude, yeah, it does feel a little bit disingenuous because it's not quite adding up. She said that them being concerned with the plight of the homeless people are saying like, hey, the way you're talking about this kind of sounds like you're demonizing the homeless. And she couldn't process like, oh yeah, a lot of the leftist people are really concerned about the plight of the homeless. So they're always going to be looking about how can we talk about this without demonizing. For example, I do this a lot online because of the dynamic of men and women, and with men being like super attacky towards women. Anytime I challenge a woman's viewpoint online and get mouthy online with Twitter, I stop and check myself and I try to analyze how I'm doing it and what the power dynamic is like, because I have to be really careful to make sure that I'm not, riding a wave of an existing misogynist power dynamic when interacting with women online. The same way with transgender people. I will hold a transgender person accountable for their behavior, but I'm going to be cognizant of holding them accountable for their behavior while not simultaneously creating more of a bandwagon of hatred towards the transgender community, because I don't want to throw the whole community under the bus that's under attack in service of attacking their behavior. And we have to be cognizant of this. I can pontificate about homeless people, but I do have to realize that the homeless community is under attack. They're under attack from the richest man on the planet, who says homelessness doesn't even exist. They're under attack from police, from right-wing people, from the president of the United States. So if I am going to challenge a homeless person's behavior and hold them accountable, I do have to be aware that there is a broader attack on the homeless community, and I don't want the entire community to suffer while I am trying to bring justice to this one individual. And I think that taking that into account should be okay. We should be doing that. And I would love to see the messages that she received. I don't know if we ever have.
I thought maybe it would help to talk about it. And then when I did talk about it, I totally regretted it because I was shocked at the way people reacted to me. But what that moment taught me was some of the characteristics of the quote unquote left that I thought were good, right? Like the kindness, the open-mindedness,
oh, look at this, dude. She is like, right now, you see what she's doing? Who is she talking about? Is she talking about Mike Figueredo? Is she talking about Emma Vigeland? Is she talking about some online troll accounts? But look at what she's doing, though. She's telegraphing, guys. She is telegraphing here. She's doing the tolerant left aren't tolerant. She's fucking telegraphing this shit, bro.
Willingness to go out of your way to look out for people who need help, like that kind of stuff. There's a portion of the left that has shed those characteristics.
Oh, yeah. They don't really care. They're not really compassionate. They're not the tolerant left. Oh, shit. So now I'm going to go side with the bigots and the because, right, the Nazis. That's what's so crazy, is I got so mad at the left that I decided to go hang out with the Nazis. I got so mad at the people defending the homeless people's plight that now I'm going to go hang out with the
They've taken on a more nihilistic approach to things, and they don't...
Dude, is there anything more nihilistic than concentration camps? Dude, what is she saying, bro? What is she saying? This is 10 days ago.
Even believe in reforms. They just believe that everything about every political system, every program we have, every institution we have is just worthless and we need to burn it all down. Okay. So that nihilistic nature, I think, leads to a lot of really bad ideas and terrible behavior online. And that's pushing people out, pushing people away. And like...
See, that's really interesting right there. She's being intentionally vague in order to say the right-wing talking points without saying them. For example, if she wants to talk nihilism, isn't having 574 bills in state houses where they're passing laws against transgender people based on religion, based on the Bible? 574 bills across the country, and there's like 100 trans athletes? Isn't that nihilistic? To have 574 legislative actions aimed at 100 people? That's like 5 per person. Isn't it nihilistic to say that immigrants are poisoning the blood? To echo Hitler? Isn't that nihilistic? Isn't it nihilistic to elect a racist insurrectionist to office and then say you're willing to work with him, but you're not willing to work with the couple of people who you're mad at because they weren't going to gang up on homeless people enough? Like, what is she talking about?
I mean, you look at places like Los Angeles, for instance, right? Or Cook County, which is where Chicago is. I paid very close attention.
Now, it's interesting that she says Chicago, because Chicago is a buzzword for the Republicans. Why did Chicago get dragged into this? Let's see what she says. But Chicago is a buzzword. That's a white America. That's a black people are problematic buzzword.
Cook County and what the election results were going to be in Cook County, because you have an influx of migrants going to Chicago, right? You have a lot of anger among the black community in Chicago because they've been nickel and dimed by their local government.
Now, it's interesting because how is she on immigration now? She like shifted from the homeless situation to immigration. That was a shift. All right, I thought she was going to talk about the homeless people. She is definitely doing the weave, bro.
It's crazy.
And at the same time, their mayor, Brandon Johnson, is doling out the cash for migrants and justifying it. And so they're angry. And so I'm watching all of this happen, and I'm just like, Democrats need to wake up. Because more and more voters feel like they're being abandoned by the Democratic Party, economically speaking. And everyone got mad at me. Everyone's like, oh, you're anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant.
Well, you sound like you're anti-immigrant. But anyway, so here's what he said. Dude, my angry friends on the left are saying I made a pivot to try and unite with the right after Trump won the election. If it's a pivot, why is the most important chapter in my book, which I wrote years ago, about how the only way we can get money out of politics is by uniting? But let's pause here, though, because one thing I've never seen from TYT or Cenk or a lot of these leftists is why are they unwilling to unite with the Democrats? He would never unite with the Democrats. A lot of them wouldn't, but they'll unite with MAGA? Huh. I mean, shouldn't we unite with our own coalition first? If you look at TYT, most of their videos are attacking the Democratic Party. The only person they ever really wanted to unite with was Bernie Sanders. That was it. He was their Trump. He was their demagogue. The election was rigged against Bernie. Remember, the primaries were rigged. The Democratic Party rigged it against Bernie. Bernie was like taken advantage of. By the way, Bernie's not a Democrat, right? He's never been a Democrat. He just ran as one to use the Democratic apparatus to try and become president. But they literally started with the beef about rigging elections. They did with the Democratic primary against Bernie. And then when they felt like Bernie wasn't winning or got screwed over, they were now going to enact retribution from the Democratic Party. He says, sorry, left-wingers, I really do believe these guys want to fight corruption. I don't think they're lying. We have to learn how to do this together. Dude, what is this? Like, does he really think they want to end corruption? But, like, do they really? 14 billionaires in the cabinet? Do you think billionaires are the ones to end corruption? Billionaires are the fucking corruption. What are we even talking about? Billionaires are the corruption. When politicians make bad choices, it's because of billionaires. Dude, he's fucking full of shit, bro.